Welcome back to the Audacity, where the pettiness is surgical, the receipts are real, and the internet is always divided. Today we have 6 people who decided that the best response to being crossed wasn't a conversation, it was a perfectly aimed return to sender. Gifts sent back. Apologies mailed out. Meal prep relocated to a hallway. Each one of them asked the internet, "Did I go too far?" Stick around for story 6, because the update on that one is the kind of twist that makes you put your phone down and just stare at the ceiling. We're starting light, or at least, as light as it gets when someone padlocks a shared kitchen on your birthday. My roommate slapped a padlock on the shared kitchen the morning of my birthday dinner, the one I'd been planning for 2 months. I had 20 people coming over. I had raw ingredients already bought, sitting in the fridge. She knew. I'd put it on our shared calendar back in January. Here's the thing about her. She's fine 90% of the time, but the moment she decides something inconveniences her, she goes nuclear. She claimed she needed the kitchen that entire Saturday to meal prep for the week, not a special occasion. Meal prep. I was standing there holding $20 worth of raw chicken. So I did 2 things. First, I texted our landlord, because a padlock on a shared kitchen is a lease violation. I checked. He called her within the hour and the lock came off. Second, while she was on that phone call, I quietly relocated every single one of her meal prep containers from the fridge to the hallway outside our unit. Labeled, "Nothing damaged, just out." The dinner went perfectly, but now she's calling me passive-aggressive and telling mutual friends I sabotaged her week. Bold word for someone who padlocked a communal kitchen. Here's where it gets good. A few weeks later, she posted an update. She moved out, but not before leaving a 1-star review of the apartment building online. The landlord saw it, documented the lease violation she committed with the padlock, and kept a portion of her deposit. The narrator replied with a single birthday cake emoji and never heard back. Sometimes the pettiness closes the loop all on its own. My neighbor had a crew tear out every single plant I had grown over 4 years while I was at work. Not trim them, not move them. Gone, roots and all, replaced with a concrete border and a brand new wood fence sitting 8 inches onto my property. I came home to bare dirt where my raised beds used to be. 4 years of heirloom tomatoes, herbs, strawberries grown from cuttings my grandmother gave me, destroyed in one afternoon. I asked her to remove the fence. She laughed and closed the door in my face. So I pulled up the county property records, measured the encroachment myself, and filed a formal complaint with the city zoning office and the HOA that same morning. Turns out her fence also violated setback codes by almost a foot. The city issued a removal order, 30 days to tear it all down, roughly $4,000 in contractor fees. She's been leaving notes on my door calling me vindictive, and 2 neighbors stopped waving at me. Here's where it gets good. A few weeks later, there was an update. During the mandatory survey the city required before fence removal, the surveyor flagged that her entire back patio, poured concrete, about 200 square feet, was also partially on my property. She now owes a second removal order or a formal encroachment easement she'd have to pay me for. The 2 neighbors who stopped waving. One of them quietly asked if I'd share the surveyor's contact info. My grandmother's strawberries are gone, but that property line has never been cleaner. This one is about a spreadsheet. A 43-person, dollar amount per guest, fully itemized spreadsheet that a mother-in-law handed over like it was perfectly normal. Inside was a spreadsheet. 43 names. Next to each one, an exact dollar amount she had apparently told them to give us as a cash gift, not suggested, expected. She'd called around before the wedding, told guests the going rate started at $200 and tracked who paid up. My husband was mortified but said to let it go. I could not let it go. So I made photocopies of the spreadsheet, wrote a short note explaining that no gift was ever required or expected from anyone, and mailed it to every person on her list with a handwritten apology. She found out within 48 hours. Half the family thinks I humiliated her on purpose. The other half is texting me thank you notes. Here's where it gets good. A few weeks later, there was an update. 3 people on that list, including my college roommate, had actually felt so uncomfortable about the expected amounts that they hadn't come to the wedding at all. They thought the couple had sanctioned it. After the letter, all three reached out. One of them flew in from out of state the following month for a belated celebration dinner. Nobody replied. The spreadsheet has not reappeared. 41 strangers. Added after the headcount was locked, paid for, and submitted. One future mother-in-law who smiled and walked away. My future mother-in-law secretly added 41 people to our wedding guest list after the final headcount was already locked, paid for, and submitted to the caterer. I only found out because the venue coordinator called me to confirm new dietary forms submitted under my name. 41 strangers, her book club, her cousin's cousins, her former neighbor's adult children. People I have never once met. My fiancé and I agreed on 80 guests total, a hard limit our deposit could cover. His college roommate wasn't coming. My out-of-state aunt wasn't coming. We'd already made the hard cuts. When I confronted her, she said, "A wedding is a family event, and I am family," then smiled and walked away. So I pulled the original list, confirmed it with the caterer myself, and had the 41 names quietly removed. I told no one. Now she's screaming that I humiliated her. My fiancé thinks I should have looped him in first, and his extended family has picked a side. Here's where it gets good. A few weeks later, there was an update. 2 of those 41 people had already booked hotels and bought flights. Apparently the mother-in-law had told them it was confirmed. They called the venue directly, and the whole unauthorized addition unraveled publicly. The fiancé, faced with the actual evidence of what his mother had done, apologized. Not a "can we move on" apology, a sit-down, real one. They went to one pre-wedding counseling session, which the narrator called unexpectedly useful. The mother-in-law was not invited to the rehearsal dinner. The wedding had exactly 80 guests. The caterer sent a congratulations card. This one is quieter and harder. My mother-in-law took my wedding dress out of my closet while we were out of town and had it cut down into a baptism gown without a single word to me. The dress wasn't just sentimental. It was my late grandmother's, altered to fit me. I wore it 8 months ago and was keeping it to preserve in a shadow box. It is gone, irreplaceable. When I confronted her, she said she'd given it new life, and that a baptism gown was more practical than something sitting in a bag. My husband was horrified, but when his mother started crying, he asked me to let it go for the sake of the family. So I let something go. His entire family is calling me cruel and vindictive. My husband says I've made it 10 times worse. Maybe I did, but she destroyed the only thing I had left of my grandmother. The host has nothing glib to say about this one. Some things just shouldn't be touched. Here's where it gets good. A few weeks later, there was an update. A textile conservator, the narrator contacted on a long shot, said that depending on how the original alterations were done, some structural lace panels might still be restorable. 3 panels survived intact. They are now framed. The baptism gown, made without consent from something irreplaceable, sits in a box in the mother-in-law's house. The narrator and her husband are in couples counseling her idea, and he showed up. That's the update. That's all of it. And here we are, story 6. The one I promised you. Buckle in. My mother-in-law donated every single item from my baby's nursery while I was in the hospital giving birth. Not moved, not borrowed. Donated. The crib my grandmother built by hand, the hand-stitched quilt, the custom dresser my husband and I spent 4 months saving for. She had a spare key for emergencies. She used it while we were in the hospital, called a charity truck, and had the entire room cleared out. Her furniture. Her choices, so she paid the delivery fee. My husband thinks I went too far. His entire family has gone silent. Here's where it gets good. A few weeks later, she posted an update, and this is the one I told you about. The charity that received the nursery furniture had a policy of photographing large donations for their records. When the narrator's husband saw those photos, time-stamped the day of the birth, his grandmother's handmade crib on a warehouse floor, something shifted in him that no argument had managed to shift. He called his mother. The narrator says she doesn't know exactly what he said because she wasn't in the room and she didn't ask. What she does know is that the spare key was returned. The mother-in-law has not been inside their home since, and the charity, when contacted, said the crib had not yet been sold. Her husband drove 40 minutes and brought it home. It's in the nursery. The baby has no idea, but the parents do. 6 people, 6 moments where someone decided to stop absorbing the impact and aim it right back. The mother-in-law with the nursery got her spare key revoked and her husband back. The dress story found 3 panels of lace in the wreckage. The spreadsheet woman got her friends back, and the roommate got a birthday cake emoji as a parting gift. The comment section is open, and I want one answer from you. Which one of these was actually, genuinely the most audacious? The person who started it, or the person who sent it back? Drop your pick below. If you're new here, subscribe. We post every week and the stories only get worse, or better. Honestly, at this point, it's hard to tell the difference. See you next time.